have things to counteract that.
Yeah.
Get into in a second.
Cocaine?
Oh, yeah. Goes with the blazer. Oh, yeah. Speaking of, welcome to today's blazed up podcast. We're both blazered up because this is a very professional, high-end arrangement.
When the world becomes unprofessional, you must become the professional.
Yes, it's true. Well, where are my notes? Today's podcast is going to be brought to you by Homeboy Specials and Black Widow hair.
Oh, this week's podcast is also brought to you by Waiting and Big Spider Time.
Ew. Okay. I'm your host, Madison.
I'm your other host, Jesse James. That bira that I am supposed to be receiving in the near future is now again slated for showing up on Monday. So that's like a good solid 10 days after like the initial time it was going to get here, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Honestly, it just feels like getting packages circa, I don't know, like 15 years ago. So It's not that bad.
Yeah, I think I've only had a couple of things be terribly affected by like weird postal service stuff. So that's nice, but I'm gonna crack into this. Here's some ASMR. I'm not gonna be able to do this. And it's on my bed.
Okay. Yeah. Every bed will have beer on it.
Yay! Yeah. Oh god.
So if you're gonna crack them open a cold one, is that a Lagunitas? What is that?
It is. It is a Lagunitas IPA.
One of my many drinks today, I have. See if we can get even a slight view of that. Yeah, you can get the color.
Oh boy.
This is a splash of gin, a splash of rum, and a splash of whiskey, and a tiny bit of orange juice because I didn't want to drink too much of it because I think it's technically not my orange juice this time. So I'm going to call this prospectively the throat wettener, and it will be an unofficial drink for now unless it's very good, which I don't think it will be. I also have coffee.
Of course. Sounds like an interesting mixture, that's for sure.
I also have water, and then I have, you won't really be able to see this, I have some homemade kombucha that was no-touch drop-offed by friend of the podcast, Carrie Potter.
Very nice.
You can check out her art online. Also, she makes a extremely mild and refreshing kombucha as she learns how to handle the ways of the mushrooms. And I believe it's cherry flavored.
Oh, yeah, that sounds really good.
And then I also have my non-drink of another meat and tuber and corn and Brussels sprout
very good
roast. So we have some good things going on.
We do. I have a singular watermelon gummy.
That is bigger than I was expecting when you were explaining those to me.
Yeah, they're oh no, this is actually just a gummy. This is not an edible gummy.
Oh, okay.
Those are in the other room, and those are bigger. They're like about that maybe an inch and a half in diameter, maybe.
Okay, so are those the kind of gummies that are like the rind on the outside and then like fake wedge like bisection?
Yeah, like the rind is made of kind of like fluffy gummy, and
Okay,
then the the fruit part is made of just regular gummy. But
gotcha.
they're pretty all right.
It looks like a nice soft chew on that one.
Yeah, nice cross section.
Uh, so
Pairs well with the IPA.
in the before we even got to this part, when I had decided waiting was going to be part of my week, it did not include the like hour of waiting that my computer updating required today. And along with that, I'm still getting like sort of a busted feed, but not the worst. It seems like our audio is okay. But I had to go in after that update, and my disk usage was at 100%, which is always a great thing to see. So I got to have the exciting time of trying to PowerShell my way into not having my computer do dumb shit that Microsoft wants it to do.
Yeah. I don't think anything infuriates me more than like forced updates. I hate it. I I try to wait as long as I possibly can before I update anything.
Yeah.
I like to put that shit off until I literally don't have the option anymore.
What I forget what the thing's called. It's called like sysmain now, which is deceptively like, oh, you should never turn this off. But it used to be called like Superfinder or something like that. That just fucks systems that are trying to like run on like laptops, especially. And it just goes through and like decides what's important for your computer and pushes all of those like processes to the top. And it fucking sucks if you're trying to like use a laptop for anything and not just have one exist. If you have a laptop and you only use it to like look up what your kids are doing at school once in a while, it could be fine. But most people, I feel like, don't. Well, maybe most people do, but most people shouldn't be using a laptop for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I have I for some reason I have two laptops now. It's a stupid reason, but the Windows one or I have a Lenovo Yoga is the one that my other one. This is my MacBook. And that one is pretty much unusable just because of all like the bloatware and bullshit that Windows puts on it and Lenovo puts on it. I don't. It's horrible. I basically use it exclusively for playing League of Legends, and that's the only thing it does.
That's a good place to go because part of my my topics today, taking a sharp turn from last week, is just nerd shit. So I was actually going to ask about your League of Legends thing anyway, because I don't know really your habits with that. I know that you play on occasion.
I've become a more frequent player since everything's been canceled. So I do play pretty frequently now. I'm not good at it. We'll just get that right out the door.
I think
put that out there.
That's the way that League of Legends trains you to think of yourself, unless you're in the like top 100.
Yeah, I think I've gotten better. I have been playing for maybe 5 years, I think. Kind of like on and off at a time, but yeah, play maybe like 4 or 5 different champions moderately well.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I kind of have the syndrome of I only want to play like the hot girls. So
Yeah.
I'm not super interested in playing anyone that like does a lot of I also main support. So I just
Right.
plain don't really I don't know. I find myself most of the time kind of a non-factor in the games that I play because I play with a bunch of other guys from high school that are like really good at it. So I
Uh-huh.
get carried a lot of the time, which is nice. But
That's most games that I play that involve other people are either support or like backline damage or something where you're just hiding or another version of hiding and then assisting people in the ways that benefits them best. I don't know. I always like those positions better too, though, because it gives you the option to do a bunch of different stuff, and you're always useful. You're
yeah.
just not going to like carry a team that way.
Yeah, that's exactly like my kind of play style. I really gravitate towards the champions who are more like utility kind of based or like
Uh,
crowd control or healing. Like that stuff is more fun to me than just doing damage. Um Also because a lot of the not all of them, but a lot of the um champions that do a lot of damage tend to be like melee range people. And I'm really bad at that. I hate it. I don't know why. I'm not good at like positioning. So
uh
it's more fun for me to hang back and like heal and shit.
Yeah, and positioning on some of that stuff always comes down to like new people have a better like positioning game because it's unexpected. But once you
Mm-hmm.
fall into like the routine of how you would position on stuff, people just know what you're going to do. So you only get to be like okay for a little while, and then there's a giant chunk in the middle where you're like just not as good as everybody at the top. That's
Yeah.
pretty much what League of Legends is and all MOBAs are.
Yeah, pretty much. Because I just, when I started, my main focus was like, don't feed, don't die.
Uh,
So I was just like really timidly playing very, very far back. And I still do that like to a fault now. And it's like too timid, too far back. But it's fun, I guess.
yeah. Well, I mean, in the thin line between God and feeder, you're still trying to like stay in the middle there. So,
Yeah.
uh, I I know that my roommate's been playing a lot of auto chess lately. Uh,
Ooh.
I think as like a thing to do while talking to friends and stuff mostly, which is what I kind of imagine all people playing auto chess are doing. Because at a certain point, just mashing things that are alike together until they're cooler. I don't know. Honestly, that could be enough of a game for most people. I for a episode that has game talk in it, I did
Ooh.
bring my special controller to present
Very
uh,
nice.
my PC and PlayStation very bright orange controller, which I like very much.
It's very Crash Bandicoot. I really like it.
Yeah, it's got personality, which is something that most controllers lack.
Mhm.
Until you get to too much personality, and then you're talking like N64 second party like garbage controllers.
Yeah.
If you ever want to play a game like the Guess the Pokemon game, where they just show the silhouette,
Hmm.
showing old, I guess, third party N64 controllers and dildos and seeing if anybody can tell the difference. Guaranteed you will miss like 50% of those.
That makes sense.
Home. So,
Got me a break.
yeah. besides League of Legends and gnashing of gummies, do you have any Matt, like, I know that face won't make it onto our thumbnail. It'll be me doing something stupid. Are there any other games that you play or have been playing? I know that you play Don't Starve. We had a very brief attempt at playing that. I came onto your farm and died immediately. I like that game too, but I usually play Shipwreck. So I'm usually using a completely different set of stuff on that game. Also on a PlayStation, but whatever.
Yeah. Other than those two, I don't think I've been playing anything else. I'm pretty much like a one-note game player. I think those are the only ones. Like I do play the other League game. Is it maybe this is what you were talking about earlier, the auto chess kind of that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I play that one pretty frequently too, just because it doesn't require very much attention. If you're like me and you're not really trying to win.
Right.
Yeah, other than that, I think that's it. Work has been kicking my ass, so.
Yeah, you seem like you're on the design grind and the social grind like most days currently.
Yep, it's been fun.
Did you find a solution to your problem from yesterday?
Kind of. I'm a little bit happier with it. I have at least like better directions. I have like concepts that I want to put together. So that's better than where I started earlier this week. I just really did not know what to do. Which I think this would be a fun time to mention that for like artists, designers, don't feel bad if procrastination is procrastination and like total creative block is a part of the process. It's stressful when it's on a deadline. That fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But I think I need to come to terms with the fact that that's just how my brain is. It's like nothing, and then like in the span of 2 days, it'll be like, okay, yes, I got it. I know what I want to do, but I don't.
Yeah,
Don't feel bad. That's you.
in the past, I mean, the world has never been incredibly fair to artists in general, but the only like solid 9 to 5 style jobs for things that are ostensibly art, depending on what you're doing, they aren't run fairly at all. Like being an artist is never going to be a fair life, no matter what you're doing, unfortunately, unless you're very lucky. Some people do get very lucky, but it definitely is part of the process to have a lull, because that's when you're able to have like any amount of experience, whether it's reading experience or like other media. Like, keeping in mind visual communication is based on taking ideas and presenting them to other people. If you're not taking in ideas, then you have nothing to say. And I think people typically think that art just springs forth from people who do art, and that's how it should be, and they should be paid minimum wage for it. And it's the reason why a lot of art costs a lot of money is because that money is actually not beyond what you're receiving. Like, I might have explained this before. I've definitely explained it before, but I don't know if it's on the podcast. If you take I'll say a 3 foot by 3 foot piece of art, and let's say somebody's doing a acrylic painting on it, because typically I think people undervalue acrylic compared to oil, even though they have no idea what the difference is most of the time.
Mm.
If you see that in a gallery, if the gallery's really, really nice and really successful already, the artist is going to receive 50% at the most of what that piece sells for. So if you're buying a piece and it's, say, $2,500, they're going to be receiving, math. They're going to be receiving $1,250 of that. And then the other side of that is that on a 6 by 6 foot piece, typically a painting, no matter how good the painter is going to be at minimum probably, like, if you're really fast, 20 hours. And if you're a standard painter who really cares about their work, it's usually safe to assume that a painting takes 80 hours and longer if you're like somebody who's doing a really involved piece. And then you start working out like how many weeks of work that is in a 9 to 5 job and how much they're actually getting paid for an entire paycheck that may never show up. And that's what art is worth. It's worth minimum wage to people who think that you're selling like something that's just bringing in all this cash. And a lot of shows, if you go to art shows, that is showing work that somebody worked for at least a year putting together. Like a lot of artists have shows like yearly if they're doing really well for like productivity. And those shows are often like 12 to 22 pieces. So like take into account 12 to 22 paychecks at whatever rate, usually, honestly, about 20% of what they get on that sale if the gallery is something that is like a city gallery or something. So, just keep that in mind when you're complaining about all these rich artists and their luxurious lifestyles. A lot of artists have to work basically every day, all day, in order to maintain anything even close to a living. And if you had to go home from your office job or even your like production job and then like plan and think about your office or production job as your entire life and then maybe get a day off a week, maybe, that's more what we're talking about. And also getting typically $15 to $20 an hour at max. So anyway, that's my art rant for this episode. I was intending on talking about nerd shit, so I'll get back to that. But there's a lot of nerd shit to go over in a couple different spots. I do want to mention that this week is momentous and that Mitch McConnell sort of kind of had to admit like 1% of maybe making a mistake as an entire party when the COVID-19 crisis started. So his, decade-long or more Stonewall efforts are at least ever so slightly showing a crack, which is, I guess, encouraging to people who are looking for anything to hold on to.
Yeah, it's something. I'll take it.
Yeah. I'm also seeing even my more reasonable relatives talking about how we really shouldn't judge Joe Biden based on one person's assessment. And then PBS, I think, did like an interview with, it was like 50 other people who know Joe Biden to try and prove that Joe Biden isn't a offender of any kind, which is the same exact thing that the Republicans did with Brett Kavanaugh. So great. That's a cool tactic to bring in.
It's really awesome logic to think that, oh, well, here's 50 people that he didn't rape, so I guess that means that he definitely hasn't raped this one person. Like, I don't really understand that, and I didn't read the interviews, just because I feel like my mind's made up about this one.
I mean, my mind's made up that he should address it directly. Whether or not he's guilty of whatever degree of it they say, he needs to come out and talk about it. If it's not a moment to, like, reflect on what this means, it's nothing. And, like, I don't know.
Yeah. And, I mean, I can't even fathom what it's going to look like for this question to come up in a debate, because, like, how do you even frame that question to two candidates who are both accused of, like, the same thing? Like, how is that? That's going to be a fucking train wreck to watch. But
which one of you rapes more?
Those are going to be rough to get through. But I actually saw a. I'll have to send it to you. Someone, like, compiled a bunch of screenshots of different headlines that were quoting Biden basically saying, you should vote for someone else. Have you seen this image?
Yeah. I've definitely seen some of that. Not that image necessarily.
It's a meme, but my favorite is him being quoted as saying, I wouldn't vote for me if I believed Tara Reid. Like, what else do we need to hear? That's it.
Yeah. People who aren't just weird Biden stans, just get out. Which, if that were true, yes, absolutely. If everybody who was not, like, Biden or die was like, oh, I'll just vote for somebody who's better, maybe the person who was way more popular than Biden until every other person dropped out. And then Biden got the, like, anxiety vote from like 6 states, and everybody was like, oh, never mind. Yeah. Too bad write-ins aren't a thing that'll happen, because voting is barely a thing that'll happen.
Yeah.
Madison, why aren't you holding out hope for his black woman vice president?
You know, I don't
think the
know.
Democrats have been pretty clear that all you have to do is wait for this old dude to die, and you'll get a better president.
Yeah. Let me know when he names Michelle Obama his VP, then I'll be interested again.
Yeah.
I've heard that from way too many people. Too many people are suggesting to me that is the move for him.
Also,
I just don't.
Have you been keeping up with all the scandalous details and evidence in the Obamagate?
all of the scandalous details. Yeah, I know all of them. I know all the details, I would say.
I feel like people are inspired by the Final Fantasy VII remake and just trying to, like, take the QAnon deep state thing and, like, take it to this year and give it a new name again. It's such a stupid, like, I mean, it's really upsetting that our government thinks that it's okay to just turn what's probably like a 19-year-old in their parents' house trying to make up really cool fan fiction about the president and change that into, like, just saying a name and trying to make it a thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's incredibly frustrating. Also,
was it you that sent me the clip of Trump addressing Obamagate? Or was that might have been it?
I've definitely watched that clip. I don't remember if I sent it to you or not. Do you mean the one where
really good, right?
He just sort of says, like, you'll see, you'll know, it's coming. You already have all the information.
Yeah. They're like, what is the thing? And he's like, well, you already know the thing, but you won't even write about the thing. So shut up. Like,
it's the exact, well, not exactly the same as Alex Jones now, because Alex Jones is now just pulling like random headlines and saying it's all proof of conspiracy. But it reminds me a lot of the past of Alex Jones saying like, here's all the evidence, and then like just forgetting about it and like ending the show.
Yeah, it reminds me of an anecdote from I think it was some episode this week that they talked about on Knowledge Fight, where he literally cited his source was his podcast that he was currently, or the broadcast or whatever.
God.
That's like next fucking level genius, like evil genius. It's so horrible. I can't.
I just want to say I'm really proud that we have the #1 video podcast vlogcast in the world right now. And for proof of this, if you just go to our YouTube channel and watch this video, you will have proof of that exact thing.
All the proof is there. You already know.
Send us an email about how right we are about being the #1 video podcast vlogcast in the world.
I'm pretty sure we're at least the #1 podcast in fuck, what was the country we were getting a lot of like questions from?
Korea.
Korea, yeah.
The #1 white-centric Korean watched United States-based vlogcast. That's what it is.
We've done it.
I don't know if that's true. Well, no, I guess the other popular ones that I know of are Australian or British. So maybe.
You can't prove that it's not true.
Yeah. Man, speaking of art, I have made a lot of small posters and sent them to people now. I was just reflecting on how many stamps are gone from my old stamp collection at this point. Not a stamp collection like you, a nerdy stamp person, would have, but like a collection of just like 1.5 books of stamps that I am now on the last like 8 stamps of. I really like that as a project and as a way to I don't know. I like to think of it as playing support for people who are currently maining this COVID crisis.
Yes, I would go get mine, but it's in the other room, hung up on the wall. But
oh yeah, I wouldn't worry about that.
It's very good, and it did brighten my day when I got it. It's the one that Jesse made for me says "Sad Girl Spring," which really resonated with me. So yeah, it was very good.
I am a little dismayed. You can see sort of a couple weeks staggered set of the things that I'm sending out on @sour_buddy on Instagram, but not all of them. Some of them are probably not internet things. But the one that definitely got the most interest from people by far was the one with Charlie Brown on it, which I don't know what that says about my art or like what I'm putting out there, but I guess Charlie Brown is still the everybody's artwork as opposed to niche artwork. This must be how Lichtenstein fell into what he was doing, and I hate him, so I gotta avoid that. In mustache news, if I take the time to do it, it is now curling. So we can look forward to at least a brief future where I have a terrible mustache and really embrace the hipster roots of what having a mustache means.
I am looking forward to that. Actually, that's been one of the bright spots for me of this whole pandemic is all the facial hair. Really enjoying it. Everyone's doing a really good job. I like
It's
it.
buck wild out there. There's facial hair where you would never expect to see it.
Yeah, Evan has officially purchased a beard wax to like tame
Nice.
things. So I think we have kind of crossed over into a new, a brave new world.
uh, I I don't know. I'm cheap, so I just use coconut oil and it works fine. But
Oh, that'd be good.
I use coconut oil for a lot of stuff, and since I have sensitive skin, it's nice because I don't have to rely on my skin to get used to some other like substance.
Yeah.
I could definitely use a wax because my hair is naturally red and curly, so it just kind of like turns into naked mole rat whiskers if I let it, and that's not great. But you know,
It sounds great.
can't have everything. Uh, it sounds great if you're like a side character in a cartoon, which, I mean, that's sort of the future I'm headed towards anyway. So, uh, oh, so while we're kind of on art, I'll mention. I don't need to write it down. So, for anybody who happens to be in the Seattle-ish area, we're currently kind of using an idea that I think started in California, but is spreading around a bit, and it's contactless art delivery and purchasing for people. And the people who are doing it in the Seattle area are the sea turtles, which I'm going to spell that out for you. So don't worry about that. But so it's SEAPERTLS. There is no E in the toll part. So SEAPERTLS. And you can find their like slowly updating catalog for art that you can get through DMs on Instagram at Seaturtles, and then seaturtles.com. They actually have a gallery of all the pieces that are on sale, and the way that we're doing it is every artist can put up like however many pieces they have that are available for purchase within a certain range of like size and quality. And all of the pieces on there are $200. So like, you know, it's not a cheap purchase if you're looking for something, but it's cheap in the art sense. And sort of, you'll get an idea for why this is cool when you take into account my description of a lot of gallery pricing. What they're doing is pricing everything at 200, but every artist is getting 175, which is a huge margin for something. So even if the pieces are, you know, something you would sell for 500 or 600 at a gallery, you could be getting a better payoff from this. And then all the artists that put stuff up there are sort of in a like a social contract of if they sell, I think it's 6 pieces on there, they put the money back in to buy a piece from somebody else. So like, if you can sell like 5 pieces, but if you sell a 6th piece, you basically put that towards somebody else, and then they sell their piece. And it's meant to try and like keep art moving around while we're stuck doing this. And then the Sea Turtles, it's a pair of people who I worked with for the ballet show, the McCaw Hall show in Seattle, and they're literally driving everybody's purchases to them from the seller. So they're acting as the middleman, and they're taking what, $25 a purchase. So like, there's a pretty good deal on that for like, they're essentially getting a slight increase over gas money and just taking it to wherever it needs to be, which I think is a great thing to be doing. Even if it doesn't sell a ton of stuff, just having people interacting with that community is nice for, I would say, a community that is pretty prone to various depression and anxiety issues as a group. I hope right now a lot of people are sort of like using it and getting into it, but I hope that a lot of people interact with it, at least as many as are able to. And if you can't afford anything, you should still go to cpurtles.com and check out the art that's on there. There are some people who have like a pretty good following in Seattle and do really good work, and then there's also me in there. So if you want this piece behind me, you could buy it.
There you go.
There's other pieces in this room that you could buy, but I'm not going to move my setup for that. Anyway, I wanted to hit on that because I think that's a really cool idea. And if other people want to steal it and use it in their town, they should. How?
Yeah. I think that's how you should end every segment. It's just a large home. I do hope that gets stolen. Okay. I said I do hope that gets stolen and happens more. And like it would even be fun in like a small college town like what I live in, because there's just some really talented people. And
pricing can vary. I work in shows, when this isn't happening, that every year sell $40 pieces. And that sounds great because, you're getting usually a full $40 off of it, just because the people who set up art stuff in Seattle are often people who are successful themselves, and they tend to be trying to like work with people and get more visibility, because the more like active an art community is, the healthier it is, which I don't know. Artists are also sort of predisposed to not being very capitalist minded, and that works against you most of the time, and a lot of artists die kind of young because of it. So any amount of support in the community and just stress relief in the community is good. And if you have somebody who has a bicycle and a good way to carry paintings around, you could do a $40 or $50 purchase buy-in art thing in your tiny town too. So yeah, for sure steal that if you're able to. I do want to get into big spider time, but do you have any spider news on your end, or other non-spider news?
Thankfully, no. It is spring, so there are more bugs. I don't think we've had any like issues with bugs inside though, so that's been pretty good.
Okay.
Our apartments are kind of prone to like wasps wanting to build nests. This is probably just houses. Thing that all houses
by trees.
Yes. Yeah, we always get wasps trying to build nests like up by our front door, which is kind of scary. I don't like them. But no, other than that, it's pretty nice. We do have like pretty close to right outside our balcony, there's a couple of lilac bushes that are pretty big and tall, and those are nice. It's nice to just sit outside and be next to some purple flowers. It's a good thing.
Yeah. I'll send you a picture of the spider that I caught. I think you saw the picture, but I don't know if I directly sent it to you.
Yeah, I saw it on your Instagram, I think. But do you know what kind of spider that is? Because it looked ginormous.
It's a wolf spider. Wolf spiders are pretty common in Washington. But yeah, I was sitting. I have like a art and like media station that has grown into like a sort of designated spot in the corner of this room over the course of the last 2 months or whatever. And I'm still pretty comfortable there, but I was there a couple nights ago and saw something out of the corner of my eye and looked over, and a spider that was a lot closer to a hand size than I like. When I looked over, did the like stop in place and like wait for me to not look at it thing, and then I was like, shit, because I have. At all times, I have this spider catching set of stuff on a table over here because we do live under a tree and we do live in like the shaded half underground section of a complex on a hill.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And as soon as I moved over to grab the cup, it saw me leave and started going along the underside of the heater towards like basically like the lamp that recently got moved over there, which is I think why it moved out in the first place, because we had just moved a lamp into the corner to like help light the space that I've been doing most of my like mini posters in. Mm-hmm. And when I checked, it like went around the side of the lamp, and it's one of those spiders where it's big enough where you can start assigning like purpose to its movements, like a small dog or something. And it was like looking around the side of the lamp and like waiting for me to not be looking at it. And I dropped like little sheets of paper I have behind it to try and like get some airflow to convince it to move so I could put the cup over it. Because it stayed really close to surfaces where I wasn't going to be able to like put something over it. And it waited till I moved away from it and then ran around the underside of the lamp and tried to go under the chair. And I got the cup over it right before it got under the chair. And it was one of those where this is a tall cup and it could reach like halfway up it when it was like testing to see how high.
No.
And the nice thing about a spider that big is usually spiders in the house, if they're any size, I'll put them outside because we have like a pretty spider friendly area outside our like glass door, because like there's predators and stuff out there that aren't in here obviously, but the space has like lots of rocks and lots of like crevices. It's just not in the house, which I love. And I can slide the paper under the thing without worrying at all about like crushing or clipping that spider, because like there's, unlike most of them, sliding paper under it isn't going to give it space to run out, because it would have to like be a fifth the size that it is to be able to get out from under that cup.
Yeah.
It's nuts. It was its abdomen was like larger than a pencil eraser, which is a big no for spiders in a house for me.
I'm looking to see, is it still up on your story?
I'll send you the photo. Yeah. It was 2 days ago, so it wouldn't be there anymore.
I'm a big fan of observing spiders. Big spiders are interesting to me, but I don't want that thing like free to roam near me.
No, I'm fine with their existence. I don't want that existence to impede on my personal space. And I'm even fine with spiders being like very visible and very like near me, as long as they are in a place where they are not going to intersect with my life directly. And you get that picture? Your face changed.
I'm glad you put the pencil there for scale, but holy shit, this thing
Yeah.
is.
It also
I'm like itchy all of a sudden.
keep in mind if you I took another picture. I don't think I have it saved in this set. Ah, shit.
I'll show
I think
the
I took it.
in the
Yeah.
meantime.
It had a incredibly like visible face because of its size, but um,
Ah,
uh, I was really frustrated because the angle of this glass means everything under it looks way smaller. Um, I took a picture, but it was with the Instagram camera, and I forgot to save it, like download it. I put the pencil behind the glass to show the actual like glass like obstruction size to the pencil, and it was way more apparent how large it was. But the picture didn't turn out as well, so I thought I was using my camera, I think, and just fucking didn't save it. Anyway, it's a very large spider, and
too big.
Putting it outside, we have one of those mats that has like the up and down, like crevicing for like dirt and water to get in.
Yeah.
And it was able to like step individually on those pieces when it was leaving.
I
Yeah,
love this visual of a spider just
it was a
strolling.
thick, high stepper. There's another picture I took of it at a distance when it was going into the rock pile, and it was big enough to where it could step like from decent sized rock to rock, which also very clear that it has no problem living outside, which I'm usually worried because like really small spiders seem like they're just going to be food once they go out there, but
this guy's not food.
no.
He's looking for trouble.
I think the blue jay that was probably about, I don't know, like maybe 8 or 9 inches tall looking, that was at my glass door a few minutes ago. I think that would have trouble eating that spider. Like it was big enough to where I don't think a bird would look at it and think, I'm going to eat that.
Well, they're aren't they poisonous too?
No. Wolf spiders are the reason why they're so big and fast is because they eat like other spiders and like insects and stuff. I don't mind wolf spiders, but they, even though they don't have like venom that does anything to people, I don't like getting bitten by stuff. I still have like a fear of spiders, and I'm always afraid that if they do bite me, I'm going to like hit them or something. And that's the part that really freaks me out. Is like I don't want to like. There's something about like, especially bigger spiders. They are like bigger and tougher than other spiders. Like tarantulas and stuff are like large, but I think people forget sometimes when they're just in that fear response that spiders are still extremely fragile compared to people. And I have no desire to like hurt or kill something that is, I don't know, like, I don't know. It's like if a squirrel was only this big and they bit people a lot. It would be really nerve-wracking to have them near you because it would be so easy to hurt or kill those things that like you just don't want to take that chance. Also,
kind of like when you're holding...
like the face. Face is bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say a spider that's big enough to have a face that just should not be allowed.
I also want to note, you can see it in that picture. It has a skull-like lightness to the front of its face that I really don't like. Wolf spiders are just sort of dark brown with some like minor lighter colored like stripes and stuff, but that one got a bad set. Yeah, it looks like
there's even like a little eye glint, like Like, he's thinking some thoughts in there.
Yeah.
Some devious, large spider thoughts. I don't like that. I do. I don't think I know we've extensively discussed spiders on this podcast, but before, but I don't really have that fear of like hurting them. I'll like take them outside usually. Um, but yeah, I can understand just not liking the feeling of involuntarily doing that, because I've done that in like in old houses that were significantly more spidery than where I am now, like being woken up in the night by like something like a spider crawling on my face,
Yeah.
and then doing that in my sleep, and that's horrible. That's no fun for anybody,
Yeah, that's the
least of all the
like
spider.
like what I explained. The last one I killed was that. It bit me on the back of the neck when I was sleeping on a like on the floor futon bed. Don't worry about the beds I've slept in; they're all a nightmare. But I hit the back of my neck and killed it while I was like waking up actively, and I didn't know that I'd been bitten until I like checked, and there was like a mark on the back of my neck with like the little prints.
I don't think I've ever been
Thankfully,
bitten.
that was another spider. I'm sure I like rolled onto it and it just happened to be on the pillow or something at some point during the night. But that was another spider, that the one that has giant like mouth parts, but
Mandible thing.
yeah, a smaller body because they eat was like wood mites or whatever. And that's when we lived next to a wood pile in a basement that was like practically a terrarium for like horrible creatures.
Yeah.
Where I learned that you can catch a centipede in a soda bottle if you put it on the ground next to it because they like the smell of it, I guess. And
Oh,
I had to
interesting.
use that to remove two different pretty large centipedes from my room. Uh,
Huh.
Also, the doors had like maybe a half inch of space under them, and snails and slugs would go from the front door all the way into where I had my room and under the door at night sometimes. So I'd wake up and there'd be a fucking slug in my carpeted room. God, that place was weird.
That the woodpile thing kind of reminds me of the old house I used to live in Boise. We had this really, I don't know the actual name for them, but it was like one of those large thimble shaped wooden wheelie things. What is
Yeah.
that even called? You know what I'm talking about. But we
Uh,
had one of those.
yeah, like a big spool.
Yeah, that's essentially, and it was really big. It was probably about 4 feet in diameter, and we would like, I every single day I would go out and we would lay it like down flat, so the flat part was on the ground, and
Mm-hmm.
then every day I'd pick it up to see what bugs were underneath, and then put it back down, and then just check on it like every day, just to see,
Yeah.
what was happening underneath the wheel, but.
I had a very close relationship with a anthill
Mm.
in Woodinville when we lived out there, and they were fascinating because you could go out there with like bits of, I don't know, bread or whatever it was that I had. I feel like bread's always like the least healthy, but the first thing you think of when it comes to giving something to animals.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm sure ants were fine with it. They break down all kinds of like kind of basic ass stuff, but
Yeah.
um, taking like little tiny bits of bread and putting it down and making progressively larger ones to see how big they can grab. But uh, they were black ants with red heads, and they were like the size of a thumb digit. Like they were big, and they
Oh.
were out in the far end of a horse pasture, and I got to where I was like, well, what if I just put like an entire carrot on the ground and they would like pick it up and move it over to like the hill and start like taking chunks out of it.
Like a big carrot or like a baby carrot?
Like a half a carrot, like just setting them on the ground.
That's cool.
And I I don't think it was really that big a deal even now, but I would take a spoon and like scoop like a little piece of the side of the anthill off and put it somewhere else in the anthill. And they would instantly come over to where I took the scoop out and start like rebuilding it.
Yeah. Ants are cool.
They bit pretty hard, but I don't think I ever really got bit by them much. I did a tiny bit, but it was like not a big deal. Like they would get on you, and thankfully something about larger ants, as long as they're not like bullet ants or something fucked up like that.
Murder ants.
Yeah. Larger ants don't bother me too much as long as I'm not wearing something with like sleeves like this or something where they can get into your clothes.
Yeah.
So like being around the anthills wasn't as big a deal as some other bugs. But I still think my favorite bugs are going to forever be the little like roly-poly bugs. The ones that I was taught were potato bugs growing up, and then I saw what an actual potato bug was, and that was not it. I want to say people call them like
this.
Yeah, I want to say people call them like pill bugs, and that's probably more of a direct route to what they are.
I've heard both growing up. I think my grandparents called them like potato bugs.
Yeah. There's also sow bugs.
Ooh.
Yeah, potato bugs are not good. Sow bugs are like pill bugs, but they have like sort of an outward sweep at the end of the segments, and they roll up a little less cleanly. And I don't know why they're different. I never really looked into it, but one of them looks like the off-brand version of the other, which I always thought.
Yeah, this is the off-brand one, right?
Hold it there for a second. The lag is keeping the visual from showing up. Yes, that's the sow bug.
Oh. I just found the cover of this week's Instagram post.
Oh boy. Hey, I mean,
I didn't even. This one's just called. Oh, this is on Flickr. So if you want to go buy this image, the photographer's name is Valerie Walsh, and
just
the title.
Taking pictures of bug sex.
Yeah. This. Oh, maybe she has more. This one is titled "Potato Bug Love."
I don't know if I agree with it, but I respect it.
It has 2 stars and 4 comments. The top comment is, "So naughty, it's cute."
I'm worried because this gin and juice and rum and whiskey is starting to taste really good.
In the face of images like this,
I mean,
drinks like that might start to taste better.
Laid back.
Oh my god. That's excellent. Thank you, Valerie Walsh, for that.
I'm putting the rest of this kombucha into this mixture, making it a little more.
How many liquids can we mix together?
Like 6. Oh, I want to tell everybody about how excited I am about A Dog and a Crown.
Also another Valerie Walsh original.
Valerie Walsh is killing it with, I guess, kitschy animal photos. So I usually, after our Saturday shows, I get some form of food delivery. This week, we, as of last week, but we're past the quarantine, time stagger, and my roommate is here again. And Well, I guess one side note, now I see a detailed story in our trash cans of like how other people are living. And it's like when you're alone for a long time and then you start seeing signs of other people, it's sort of like an interesting, you notice things even more than usual. And you're just like, huh, other people are weird. But the other part of it is that this week we're going in together on a after podcast food delivery.
Ooh,
and I'm
nice.
very excited. So I want you to check a website out for me,
Okay.
a menu more specifically. But it is JB Bungalow, I believe.
JB Bungalow.
It's a Hawaiian place that opens not too far from here. Does it show up for you?
It does. Here we go. Bungalow at Juanita Beach.
I believe it's called like a Leilani volcano or something. They do mixed drinks to you, and I want you to read what's in that because I'm very excited to drink one of those in the near future.
This is just a fun their menu links to a PDF called Menu Final, and that resonates.
I have Menu Final saved to my phone now.
Okay. All right. I'm looking at the cocktails. Is that what I'm looking?
I think it's the last one, or like the third to last, the Leilani volcano. I think that's what it's called.
See it, yeah. Coconut rum, aged rum, pineapple juice, lime juice, and guava.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for. That sounds fantastic. But also, I think both of our orders that we decided on is an order of Mocha Loco for each of us, which I will send you a picture of because I know you tried Mocha Loco, and I'm curious if this is like closer to that or closer to what the Hawaiian version was when we were there.
Already sounds so much better than my experience with what I'm reading.
We're also planning on getting 2 spam musubi to keep for later for each of us, which I'm so excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, getting a bunch of this stuff and drinks is probably based on like how much one delivery adds on right now for like all of the like hazard and shit that people have to go through.
Yeah.
This probably will not cost any more than my usual after podcast food, and I'm psyched. Not to say that last week's fish and chips and shit like that wasn't amazing, but like this one, the main difference is you kind of have to have a car so you can go pick it up. I don't have a car, but my roommate does and wants to get it. You're finding some good shit on there, I see.
Yeah, I'm real jealous about this menu. I'm looking at the spam katsu taco. Katsu fried spam Asian slaw jalapeno crema topped with pickled jalapeno.
Yep.
Fucking unfair, dude. What? I like that they call their macaroni salad the Kahuna Mac salad.
Have you ever had macaroni salad that's Hawaiian style? It's like a little different. It's really good. It's,
oh my god!
I say it's really good. On? What I mean is actually it's really like picnic style. Like it's sweeter than you would expect, and it's also like heartier than you would expect. And it's often served with things that are already so hearty you can't finish it.
That's what I want. Their mac salad has roasted red bell pepper, carrots, peas, furikake, and diced spam.
Oh, is it my birthday? Yeah, it's a real good set of stuff there.
It looks so good. I really want all of it. They have a brunch menu?
Uh-huh.
All right, I'm hopping in the car. Gotta get within delivery distance of bungalow at Coconut French toast. Are you kidding me right now? Passion fruit, blueberry, how do you pronounce that? Compote?
Compote.
Compote? Vanilla whipped cream, Kahlua pork hash. Fuck!
One of the things
I'm
that I think
angry.
is incredibly underrated that I had at a little diner, like just off the main section of Honolulu, was
Mm-hmm.
so my dad. Let's call it a mini pop secret. One of my dad's many food things that he picked up from somewhere was fruit and cream, and he would do that all the time for like, I mean, he ate kind of like the pressman at our work eats sometimes, um, but
Like a hummingbird.
he would often substitute the idea of eating fruit with eating like basically a bowl of fruit and like heavy cream or half and half with sugar over it. Uh, and they straight up serve that as like a breakfast of like it was like a banana and a half of like banana and cream with like a pancake there. It's fucking amazing. It's such a simple thing and it's so good. But
Yeah, that is like actually my mom did something really similar when I went up and house sat for them for a day. She has been making like heavy she just puts like heavy whipping cream and like whips it so it turns into whipping cream. Just
yeah,
that and like vanilla and no sweetener, nothing. It's just really simple. It's so good and she just gave me that with like some strawberries for breakfast and it was
that's
excellent.
honestly probably as healthy as most cereals. It's really good though.
Right? Like it was really good. There was no extra sugar or anything. I mean, fruit isn't amazing, but for you, but it's a
I mean, it's not amazing
delicious.
if you're just slamming it 24/7, but
Yeah,
um, I
yeah.
don't know. That's like the so update um, on my overnight oats. I finally landed on a recipe that's extremely good,
Mm.
and it's a large scoop of peanut butter. Well, it starts with an apple, like half an apple, and I make 2 servings of it, one for me and one for my roommate. So I just use a whole apple per thing. But at the start, I was cutting it really thin, so the apple like melded in with the rest of the oats. And then I
Mhm.
realized that I need to cut it like chunky, like I don't know why finger digits are coming up so much, but like finger digit sized, you know, uh,
Finger size.
finger sized, um, and putting that in the bottom with just a fuck ton of cinnamon over the top, and
Oh
then
yeah.
microwaving it for like a minute so that it kind of like heats that up, but also like pushes some of the apple juice out of the apples. And then putting honey and peanut butter on that and mixing it until it's like uh, sort of an even broth almost.
Mhm.
Uh, and then you're basically working with like a sauce that you add uh, like creamy oat milk and oats to until it's like pretty watery because it thickens up quite a bit. And then throwing like maybe 8 uh, dark chocolate chips on top of it, and like it's probably the amount of sweetness that I want when I wake up in terms of like something to go with coffee, but it's not very sweet. It's like kind of sweet,
Mhm.
and it's incredibly good and incredibly filling because it's like a full serving of peanut butter, a full serving of oats, and a bunch of like various like sugars and fiber and shit in there. So I would
That sounds really
strongly
good.
suggest it if people want to do that. It's really cheap and it's really filling for like the start of your day. Like it generally keeps me from wanting food until like well past lunch, which is a feat.
Yeah, I remember when I was working uh in Kirkland. When I was doing the overnight oats, it keeps you really full for a pretty long time. Also, I just generally don't eat breakfast, so
I think that's gonna become part of my when we're able to actually go to a place for work again routine.
Yeah.
Because it only takes like, even making two, it takes like 15, 20 minutes at the most to like get it all prepped the way I want. And doing stuff at night is so much easier than doing stuff in the morning.
Yeah. Yep. They're a really, really easy, fun thing. It's super like customizable. I'm kind of curious what would happen if you like kind of didn't use as much liquid and then just baked it instead.
So I kind of did that.
Of course. How did that turn out?
I made like apple oatmeal pancakes. So I basically made a really runny version of it and then added pancake mix to it and used that as the base. And it's good, but it's incredibly hearty. So like, I made I think I made two like probably, I don't know, 8-inch pancakes, and I was able to eat one of them in like a sitting, and it was a lot. And I ate one of those the next day for breakfast, and the addition of like having it be as thick as it needs to be to like be a pancake, but also being oatmeal is a lot. Also, it cooks slower, so like with anything that's in that form, it's a little bit tough to deal with just for like not burning it but still cooking it. It usually requires lower heat for longer kind of stuff.
Yeah, my mom actually makes a baked oatmeal in a pan that's really good. That is, I would imagine, essentially just exactly like the same ingredients.
Yeah, pretty close.
Baked for longer. Yeah, it's like a cake kind of consistency, but just oatmeal-y. It's really good. She always serves it with like canned peaches and heavy whipping cream. It's always good. More fruit and cream.
This is your grandma again?
That's actually my mom, but it might be my grandma's recipe.
Where is your family from?
My mom, so my mom's parents are from Kansas.
Okay. That sounds like the right area for that.
Yeah.
Everything I know about Kansas is it's like the birthplace of what's it called? Pizza Hut. And Pizza Hut is like the most dessert-oriented pizza place there is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. They have some really interesting concoctions. But my family, I think I'm pretty lucky to have a good mix of like food backgrounds, because my dad is like Japanese, but he grew up in Hawaii for a while.
Okay.
So he's got like that going for him.
Yeah.
So he makes, like, my dad's just he's one of those people who can just like put shit together and it tastes good somehow. But he never like writes anything down. There's no recipes involved. Or
that's what I aspire to be.
Yeah.
Hey Nick.
Why do you look so fancy?
Oh, it's our Blazer podcast.
It's the Blazer cast.
Ooh, I like it. Very cute.
I mixed a tiny bit of orange juice that I saved from last night with whiskey, gin, rum, and booch. It's really fucking good.
Oh, that's good. Hey, that's good.
Did Nick dye his hair?
Juice and this assuming endless supply of kombucha that we'll eventually have.
Yeah.
Real quick, I know this isn't podcast related. Sorry. The Lilani volcano is not something they had, but they could do Mai Tais. So I'll take that.
Do you want to read off what's in the Mai Tai so we're not cock blocking people on knowing what I'm ordering still?
Oh, absolutely. Okay, Mai Tai. Aged Cruzan
Yeah, we looked up the menus.
Okay, because I'll be...
hand squeezed lime, fresh orange and pineapple juice. What is orgeat? Orgeat simple syrup? What is?
Oh, it's just a simple syrup. It's just sweet.
Okay. And a float of Myers dark rum.
It sounds considerably less alcoholic, but still very fruity.
Mm-hmm. So, all of their drinks sounded really good.
Speaking of fruity, Nick was telling me earlier about Lady Gaga's jockstrap.
Girl.
And how smart a move that was for the gay community.
It's just like,
I'm unaware.
Give the gays what they want. It's very important.
I'm also unaware of this. I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, I don't know much about jockstrap usage past sports that they only required it in school, and I'm fine
I don't even know that much, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Jockstrap is what you have to wear after you get a vasectomy for like 2 weeks. That's what I know about them.
Fun. Did fourth, third, whatever number official member of the podcast, Nick, dye his hair, or is it just looking particularly dark in the lighting?
Did you dye your hair, or is it just looking very dark in the lighting?
Oh, I absolutely have done nothing with my hair. I've not gotten to that level of gay crisis yet.
It looks so much darker than I remember.
Oh, well, it's working for you, so keep it up.
It looks good. Is the point.
Photos, because I was going through a phase when I was late teens, early 20s, where I was getting blonde highlights. And I think she would be entertained by those.
Could you send them to us so that we can use it for our...
Absolutely.
We have old pictures of us on one of our updates as well.
Sure.
It's only fair.
Then people can get the real skinny.
Okay, this is like an out of context thing to explain, but get in the hole, please. Little thing.
I think he's messing with a mask. I think that's the hole that needs to be gotten into.
Yeah, there's an adjustable strap thing, and I just pulled it right off right at the beginning.
Oh.
Which is great for...
He's messing with one of these.
Oh, very nice.
And more specifically, one of these attachments.
I
also have art pliers that could work potentially, but I don't know exactly.
Work. And if it doesn't,
I also, if you check out Sour Buddy's page on Redbubble, you can buy a couple mask variants from me. I'll probably show them off at some point when we're still in the midst of mask usage.
Yep.
If not now, it'll be second wave stuff. You know, because we're in the U.S. and that's guaranteed.
Just
the
America things. I am enjoying, as much as I can enjoy this, all of the tweets from other countries that are like, I can't believe that the U.S. basically just got bored of COVID and decided, we're fine.
Maybe we'll just let all the people who are going to die and like forget about it, because we need money for rich people. That very upsetting 2026 trillionaire news. Like we're still trying to push super hard in Washington for just even taxing Amazon because they don't pay shit. And they're like basically ruining this whole area of the country slowly by siphoning all the money out of it. And in the process, increasing all the rent rates to a degree that people who live here are like, we have giant parts of our city now that are like largely like our industrial district used to be also sort of a district for people with lower wages and stuff, like a lot of cities have. And Sodo is now like weird startup businesses sometimes, and like people who cut hair and go in on a big group of people together to like get a small space that they can have. But it's basically abandoned. Like it's places for the people who work in like industrial jobs to get lunch. And sorry, there's dancing.
I'm finishing a turn of myself out the apartment.
Okay.
We'll keep on. That's not really related to anything, but food will be here in 20 minutes.
Okay. Sounds good.
Sorry, we can't share it with you, Madison.
I am too.
She's driving on her way.
Shit is warm.
It's very warm.
The opposite word. It's cold outside. Anyways.
It's not cold.
My brain
I'm in a blazer. It's very warm. Anyway, the money problem in Seattle is real. And anybody who thinks Seattle loves Amazon is not talking about the people in Seattle.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of like, have you seen the I don't remember if it's the third season, but the last or second to last season of BoJack Horseman, and Diane is doing an expose on this like giant corporation called White Whale Industries, and she meets with the whitest whale, like the big guy, whatever. And during their conversation, they're like, "Oh yeah, didn't you hear? Congress legalized murder for billionaires, so it's fine." Because the whole story was like he murdered someone, but it was fine because, yeah, reminds me of that a little bit.
I mean, it's not far off. Most of those people do have some level of involvement with like mercenary security. So, I mean, it is kind of legalized. It's just in a way that is totally fine with our weird capitalist system and wouldn't be fine with anybody if they actually paid attention to that shit. But, you know, whatever. Let's just hire the Pinkertons again in the exact same way that Ford did. And then act like it's fine. They're different now.
Speaking of like legal murder, I can't remember. On our last podcast, did we yell about the Ahmaud Arbery thing?
We mentioned it, but we didn't yell about it much, I don't think.
Another one. I can't remember her name or their names. There was just another situation somewhere where a couple, a black couple that were living together. I think she was an EMT. For some reason, it was suspected that there were like drug things happening, whatever bullshit excuse, and the cops basically raided it and like rained bullets upon this couple in their own home. And so the boyfriend fired back, and now he's like arrested because he hit a cop for the girlfriend is dead is the
of course
point of the story. She got shot like 20 times. Anyway, that's a real turn of topics, but
I mean, it shouldn't be. It should be the topic all the time, but
it feels pretty tied to, I mean, while we're talking about murder that's legal.
Murder is what they'll call it when it's legal.
Yeah, just I don't know.
And to be fair, it is legal if you're white and in the right community. I think that the amount of people who have killed a lot of people now who were influenced by Alex Jones in particular, it's pretty clear that it's legal to incite and carry out that kind of violence, as long as it's not against other white people, because that would just be terrorism.
Yeah.
That
works.
But it's cool because Alex Jones still talks about the Oklahoma City bomber as though he was just a misunderstood like freedom fighter and not somebody who blew up a goddamn preschool on purpose, by the way. That's fun. That's cool.
Yeah. Real good people good people on both sides of the issue.
Yeah, that's what it is. Also, we should keep in this the Arbery, and I actually hadn't heard about the couple you were talking about yet. There was also the security guard who got shot to death by people after he said, "Hey, you can't come in here without a mask," and it was in front of a what was it?
Yeah.
Was it a Walmart or a Walgreens? I don't remember the store exactly.
I think it was some sort of like dollar store or
That's what
some...
it was. It was a dollar store, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just selfish, cruel stupidity. I don't know.
Also, people would have to check this stat. I didn't feel like going into it, but I've seen it pop up. If it's true, it sucks, and it's not super surprising. And if it's not true, it should maybe be harder to be like very convincing. But the 2019 people killed by police being higher than the entire history of school shootings in mortality rate is maybe something we should think about a little bit, because people seem to talk a lot about school shootings, and they're often, but people being murdered by police, you can't tell me that many people deserved it or did anything to even incite that violence after all the shit we've seen in the last few years. So
yeah, no,
at least it's becoming more transparent, but I imagine there's a lot of situations where transparency didn't lead to good things, and I'm hoping that this pushes people towards being against it and not being okay with it. Who knows? Anyway.
Yeah. The country really needs to like sit back and look at itself real hard when we have like white Karens and their husbands out with their AR-15s protesting because they need to get their hair cut and they can't, and that's like fine, and the cops, like, nothing happens there, but apparently like a black couple fucking in their own home, like watching TV or whatever it was that they were doing, that's deserving of being murdered and arrested. Like
an entire nation getting wind of a guy jogging and getting murdered by two people who did it because they felt like it, had to be pushed on for, like, how long was it before they finally started looking into it? Like 2 months?
Yeah, it was only in the news after like 2 months. I only heard about it because people were mad that nothing had happened for 2 months. Just fucking wild.
And that was basically left up to like, well, this video that shows it happening doesn't count because, like, yeah, they're white. And then once other people saw it, it meant something. But it's also that thing of like constantly being able to just turn off your own body cams as police. Like, why is that allowed? Like, if you're gonna try to get into a spot of being like a community enforcement for, I mean, in honesty, a community enforcement for capitalism and not for people, but at least you're supposed to pretend like it's for people's safety and not just for like putting people in prison and like making quotas. You could at least try to like convince us, but instead they're just like, if there's no information, who cares? Sucks. I don't think I'm ever going to be like, police are doing their job well. Anyway.
No, I don't think so.
Let's see. How do we transition out of police?
I dyed my hair.
Yeah! Nice.
That is how you transition.
Is it at its full force yet, or is it going to get more orange?
This is probably as orange as it's going to get. I actually lightened it more than I thought I was gonna have to.
Yeah.
I lightened it just kind of by toning it because I didn't want to. I guess I did bleach it, but I didn't want to really bleach it because it's this length because of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just lightened it a couple of levels, and this is what it looks like. I do have a daily orange dye conditioner as part of the kit that I got. So it'll hopefully stay this level, but I'm really liking it. It's not really orange unless it's like in the sun. Other than that, it kind of just looks like reddish, which I also enjoy. So yeah.
It's a good subdued orange. Honestly, I like any color of orange. You saw that controller. That's the range.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I feel like liking orange a lot is a weird version of narcissism for me because, like, I've always been very excited that I have orange hair in places.
Yeah.
But I think that was a later thing in life, and liking orange was always there. So it's probably just eccentricity more than anything.
Yeah.
Orange is the best color, and people need to stop acting like it's just not as good as red, because red's fine, but come on.
I'm kind of over red for the time being. It used to be my favorite color for a while, probably like in high school, but no, now I really like a vibrant orange. I would have actually been happier if I had the stuff to go lighter on my hair so that it was even more like bold, but it's fine.
It's hard to do that stuff if you're not blonde already.
Yeah, I'm just extremely fucked when it comes to hair dyeing. Like I can't unless I'm going to plan to drop a pretty solid chunk of money to go to a salon and have them just like shock my hair with bleach.
Right.
It's not going to happen, which is really sad because I really love being blonde, but it's too hard.
Yeah. I don't think I'd ever go blonde. I think I'd look terrible because I'd also have to have either no beard or weird beard. That's not going to work. But I am always jealous when I see like blonde women who all they have to do is dye their hair white, and then they can put like light pink or silver or like any of these colors that are like absolutely impossible for people with like
it's unfair.
More common hair.
One of my best friends has that hair. Her hair is just so naturally light that it's just she can go like platinum very, very easily, and she very often has like a lavender, like silvery color, and it's what I've always dreamed of, and I won't ever be able to consistently achieve it without spending so much money.
That's I want to say man, I don't remember the pricing. It's not cheap, but my friend Mary, you have met Mary briefly,
yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, there was a little bit of overlap when I worked there.
Did she have her like silver hair or anything when, like, it wasn't full, but it was like enough to be impressive?
Yeah.
I was always impressed with that, but the process of that being having a super good relationship with her hairdresser, who was already somebody who was half the time in LA and half the time in Seattle, and she would have to literally spend an entire day with her, and they would like get lunch and dinner together in between bleaching her hair down professionally to where it had to be. It's just so much work. Like, you can only get that kind of stuff done right if you have like an amazing set of people doing it with you, or you're just like super lucky to have hair that lets you do it.
Yeah. I think the only real path for us people in that predicament is just like wigs,
Yeah.
which is not a bad alternative. I like wigs.
Wigs are fine. I would be fine with wigs, especially if my hair were cut again, But guy wigs are always tough because there's not really guy hair wigs for the most part.
Yeah, I don't think I've actually seen that before.
You can find them, but it's altered, like female wigs. Remember, there's a mirror. If there's stuff happening in the room, it might translate.
We're just like peeking through the door to see if I'm still podcasting.
So I sent you those questions. Do you want to get to those?
Oh, yes.
While we're coming down from our hair stuff? I will say I have more video game talk that we can choose to do or not. It probably won't last that long, but I also have something that we can move to the next podcast if it's easier, or we can touch on. I've been doing a kind of research lately, but it's all fan fiction, and some of it I don't think we can do for NFS Warehouse because it's disgusting.
Okay.
But I'll cut the disgusting parts out. That is a offer I make to people who don't want to ruin their day.
That's a good offer.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I have the questions. All right. So we did get one really, really interesting question. That I appreciate. Do you like traveling? DM me the answer only if you are a woman and you are in the United States of America. Flag emoji, heart emoji.
Yeah. And you were saying that we could finally kick off our sugar baby lifestyle, which honestly is, I think, a form of patronage, right? That's a good way for an artist to live.
I'm not opposed to it in any sense. I'm all for that lifestyle.
That's the SBP, sugar baby patronage. You get to maintain your artistic lifestyle by any means necessary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we're trying to say is that we're going to set up a Patreon so we can finally be the sugar babies we've always wanted to be.
Yeah, once we get that $50 rolling in a month, that's going to go towards
a lot of
business.
Okay, more questions. Do you like rabbits?
I do like rabbits. They live in Kirkland. They've been out more since the world has stalled. Now that I know that there are blue jays, raccoons, rabbits, squirrels, ducks, all that shit hanging out like right outside my door, it's very exciting whenever I see them.
Yeah.
I have held rabbits at times. That's been nice. I think that they are better than dogs, but only because they are more like cats mixed with mice. And I'm more on board with that.
That's a great combination. Yeah. I also like rabbits a lot. They're just great animals overall. There's a photographer that I follow on Instagram, and she has a pet rabbit, and she refers to him in all of her stories as the artist.
With an E on the end?
Yes, usually.
Excellent.
So I really enjoy those. Let's see.
Rabbits can die from being overstressed easier than some animals, which is a bummer.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but in people in my position, if I were in a stable, moneyed solo household or something, I'd for sure own a rabbit if it were a good option. I still think I prefer a cat, even though they stink and they're kind of assholes and they have claws. But I just like a rabbit because they are more interesting looking than chinchillas or guinea pigs, but you can still make vegetable roasts and then keep some of it out raw to just like have dinner with it. And having dinner with a pet is a very important thing for me, you know.
That's very good. Yeah. That makes so much sense because especially you're doing like roasts all the time. You probably have a bunch of like vegetable odds and ends.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be perfect for a rabbit. That'd be very good. I did used to have a chinchilla, and
I
they're
don't think they're bad, but the last time I was watching a chinchilla, I turned around to grab it some like apple oatmeal biscuits for chinchillas that it had that smell really good, but I didn't try them. Maybe I will someday. And I grabbed it and held it up to it, and it went like "Reep!" and like stood up on its hind legs and peed out of the cage, which was already on top of a bookcase. So it was just filled the room with piss for a second. I was like, oh, cool.
Okay. I'm glad to know it's not just my chinchilla that did that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, honestly, I've been peed on by a lot of stuff when I think back about it, and it wasn't the worst. Like, I would be okay with, like, still taking care of chinchillas, even though it projectile peed all over, but it's not my favorite. Like, I'm not looking for that that cool piss action.
The projectile piss.
Yeah.
I just really like that they have a sound effect. They go
yeah,
and do it. So you know it's like coming.
That's nice. It missed me for the most part because you could see it coming. But it was definitely like a I'm choosing to do this kind of action.
I mean, just peeing like with enough force and also on demand.
Yeah,
that's a talent.
It's true.
I respect it.
The only problem I've ever had with rabbits is when they lightly bite your finger to see if it's food, and I'm fine with that. Like, I'm sure rabbits can bite hard. They can get through stuff, but like, I don't know. Rabbits are fragile enough to where you would never want to wrestle with them like you would with a cat or a dog. Yeah. And that's not a requirement for pets for me. Though on the topic of weird pets, I think a bat, even though I've heard that they don't smell great sometimes, a bat just seems so good. There's no way you could keep one and have it be like happy and healthy, but if it were possible to live near bats that for sure didn't have rabies, I would absolutely do that. We used to have bats that would hang out in a horse barn near us. You could like see them flying around from like our back window between our like house and the barn, and those are fantastic. Bats are the best. They look like they're always confused and they never know what they're doing, and I like that.
They're very cute. Yeah. They're super cute. If you get a chance to see a bat like real up close, you should take it because they're very like. You probably shouldn't touch it, but they're very soft.
Yeah. Even the most unattractive bats are still very cute in the same way that like I really like pigs, and even the most unattractive pigs are still like, I get it. you're doing your thing. And I have pet bats at the zoo when I was a kid, and they are very soft and basically like smarter flying mice. And again, things that are like slightly smarter mice are good. That includes rats. Rats are pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But most things that are like mice also stink. And that's just something you have to deal with, I guess.
Yeah, it's something you might encounter. Or like piss spray.
People also smell bad, so it's fine.
It's true.
So I think we have at least one more question that's almost indiscernible. Maybe a couple more.
We have... So there's two. One of them is a little bit too long, and I think it like gets cut off, so I can't read what the full question is.
Mm-hmm. I think it has to do with how we would handle graduation.
Yeah.
Is
it? I assume that's what they're asking.
If I were needing to graduate, I think I would handle it the way that I graduated from college, which is doing extra papers and graduating a few months later than everybody else, and not going to a graduation and just receiving my diploma from the school. That worked out great for me. I did not regret going to graduation at all. I think high school graduation has a lot more hope in a lot of ways, and a lot more like pomp and circumstance that people give a shit about. So when it comes to actually graduating from something, I know graduating from college for people who go to college is a big deal because it signifies that now you're either going to make really big decisions about college or more impactful decisions about your lifestyle. So like it's important, but also like
Yeah. That's my general, I have the same general opinion of graduations. I didn't go to mine.
Yeah.
I don't like the ceremony of it. It makes me anxious to do that. Like walking in front, I have a hard enough time walking in a straight line by myself, no one watching. Don't need everyone watching me doing that. I also, in my case, I don't know, at times I do kind of regret it, because just in my case, I was in a smaller program, and it was like 2 or 3 teachers that taught like all of the classes.
Yeah.
So I feel like in hindsight, it would have been nice to go that, just to like acknowledge their work and say thank you.
Right.
I probably could have been nicer about that, but by the time I was done, I was ready for it to be done, and I just didn't want to go.
For me, it helped that I had a end of the year, end of schooling, end of the year, like in our school's hallways, basically, but like still open to the public art show.
Yeah.
So that kind of took the place of something that meant something to me.
Yeah.
And that was nice, because it's like teachers that think that you're cool will spend the meager amount of money you're asking for this art show to buy some of your work and tell you about like, here's what I like about this. Like, it's sort of the like, don't worry, you're worth going out of this school and into something else kind of moment.
Yeah.
And most graduations are much less impactful than they are presented as like a thing in TV and things like that. I still think that they're worth it, but if it's a large school, it comes down to like, I think that's them, and like a bunch of people walking up and getting some stuff from people who they shake hands with, which is like, I guess, closure. And then if it's a smaller school, it's basically just having to be at the school and like display that you're getting a diploma and take some pictures with your family. But you can take pictures with your family afterwards. Like it's not a huge deal. I've been in like a decade-long search for like, what do I do with this gown? Because I want to turn it into something. Because there's no use for it. Like, it's not going to benefit me or anyone else. But it's still an item of clothing. Okay, this is totally off topic. I know we have another question. I started looking into a lot of Japanese clothing recently. Shipping isn't terrible, but it's still not something I want to buy. But weird point of obsession over this week, because like Tokyo-based clothing companies, especially like smaller, more indie ones, are really deep into like street style lately, which I tend to like. And one of the things that I found inklings of, but very little proof of existing, is a thick cloth t-shirt hoodie, like a short sleeve but not sleeveless. I feel like sleeveless hoodies are usually shitty. I want something that I can put on over a sweater in the winter to have a hoodie, but something that's more like organic looking underneath.
Yeah.
And I want a big, thick, designed t-shirt for that. And I can't sew, so I'm not going to make that in the near future, but it is very appealing to me. And I just want to implore people to make that product. I will buy it.
Mm-hmm. That does sound good. I haven't looked at a whole lot of like Japanese streetwear for a while. It's been a minute since I've seen that. One thing that I've been really drawn to lately is the baby doll style of dress with like a really high, I don't know if you'd call that hemline, but something about just like frolicking about the house all day and really having nowhere to go except on the occasional walk really makes me want to dress like a fancy lacy pilgrim or something.
Uh-huh.
That sounds just fun to me, so I might I might find some of those, make some purchases.
I mean, we'll always have like a video to show off a little bit if we find these purchases. So at least that. Anyway, that was a relatively unrelated deep dive, but I was thinking about what I could turn that graduation outfit into, and that reminded me that I do want certain clothing, but I'm not going to buy it for... Once you get past the shipping, even though it's not terrible, you can't really get stuff from Japan for like less than $80 for something like that. Purchasing like I think I purchased food and like weird novelty condoms and shit like that from Japan in the past, and they just have some really great products there, in a way that, like, same with Australia, they have some really interesting shit, and Korea, and the US I think has gotten comfortable being like, I don't know, what they perceive as classy, I guess. And it is not, but it also is not interesting, and we're kind of sitting on that borderline of like just boring ass stuff most of the time.
I cannot think of a line of product that more like exemplifies this idea than this like shitty line of Lay's chips that they're doing of horrible, not always horrible, but just like fucked up weird flavors, but they're like very mundane weird flavors. They'll like put out a bag of chips that's like, oh, it's pizza flavored, or like, oh, this one's spaghetti and meatballs. Like, you're trying, I guess, to do something a little creative, but I think the most interesting one I've seen were like the chicken and waffle flavored chips. I don't even remember if I tried those or not, but
there's a lot of business getting in.
Those are available.
Both cocktails tried to...
Those cocktails are significant.
Yeah.
Can I claim one so I can show it?
Ooh.
That's not bad.
They both tried to...
Holy crap.
Wonderful.
They both tried to spill?
And somehow did not miss a lot. I'm going to have to watch
That's a lot of cocktail.
I'll do a little Vanna Whiting of some of this stuff, because I think we got the same order, right?
Literally, yes. I'm going to just let you have, like, go to town on the Brussels sprouts, and then, like, I'll get a little bit of that later.
I'll probably pour half of it into a bowl, and then what's left in there will be yours. What's that say? Is that all four?
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's heavier than I thought it was going to be.
You've entered into exhibitionist Van Nice. I'm gonna try to hold this up in a way that is.
This is the rest of it. Gravy, Brussels.
Nice. So the gravy's separate, so I will be adding gravy.
Oh no!
They got that thick ass egg on top of the meat.
Oh,
they got rice down there, and they got that mac down there. I'm gonna be putting this into a bowl all together and reheating it a little bit into a gravied mass, and that'll be the picture I give you for the weekly.
Thank you.
May I see the musubi box? I want to show that off.
Asked me about how they want to do the hamburger, and I said medium well because with hamburger.
Medium well's pretty standard. I usually do rarer, but only if it's like if I'm feeling saucy, will I get it anything? I can smell this and it's excellent. Oh yeah, they're individual.
Oh really? Oh yes. Look
at this big ass
musubi. That looks so good.
Nick, hold one. They're warm. It smells like hot, crispy seaweed in that box, and I'm very into it.
That sounds so good.
And then I'll show off the Brussels sprouts just so. Ooh, nice. A nice Brussels sprout.
Ooh, yeah, those look good.
Oh shit! Smell that.
Yeah.
They smell like.
You can add protein to them, but I was like, I don't know if that's.
We have protein
because we get ordered. So
we have lots. We are protein boys.
I'm running away because you send it to Carrie.
Okay.
She only has like 2 minutes.
Thank you for picking that up. Send me a bill in the Pay app.
Are you sure?
Yeah, we were gonna happy it.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
Oh man, this is exciting. I'm sorry you can't eat this.
I'm imagining smells.
The smell's good. The smells very good. Oh man. Anyway, I've suddenly felt an energy boost to my day. Where was I? Graduation isn't that important. What's the next question?
Okay. Last question, and also a good segue into one of my topics that'll be pretty short. Any new drinks up for discussion? Going back to yes, that is a drink up for that's the Leilani volcano one.
This is actually right? They were unavailable. It's Mai Tais. I think people jumped on the volcanoes too quick.
Gotcha. Well, that one we read the ingredients for sounded really good. Lately, Evan and I have been partaking. Well, Evan is the one. He really likes to make shit up, and everything that he puts together, he dubs a homeboy special. That is just.
Oh, that's the homeboy special.
Yes,
okay.
That's just the blanket term for anything that Evan makes out of complete random bullshit. That is often kind of horrifying, but sometimes very good. And lately, he's been making a homeboy special cocktail that consists of whiskey, like peach juice, just like juice concentrate, and what else? Mint, sweet vermouth, a little bit, and I think that's it. That's all of it.
If you added like a whiskey toast on top of that, you'd probably have like a cocktail they'd serve you in Seattle, because I think they do the same thing of just like, I don't know, this sounds like ingredients that'll work together.
Yeah, I don't know where he got the idea or if he saw it somewhere, but he just has dubbed it the homeboy special, and it's really good.
I'm very into that idea. Yeah, mint's great and everything too. Well, most of the time. I used to do a thing that I called the Louisiana Batman, where I just had I bought a bottle of I think it was like the Dark Knight had a Mountain Dew flavor, and it was called like Dark purple or some shit. And I drank, it was not very good, but I drank like a half of it. And then I kept it in the fridge and would fill it with different alcohol and drink like half of it again. And it would slowly get lighter and lighter. And I would serve that to people in like cups with ice as the Louisiana Batman, as it became more and more alcoholic and less like appetizing.
I like that. That drink has like a story to tell.
Yeah, but I think the Homeboy Special is a really good naming convention, and I think I'll have to adopt that because that's descriptive in every way you need it to be.
It is. So it spans greatly, like things that are horrible, horrific tragedies that never should have happened, and like very, very good drinks like the one I just described. He also made the other day Homeboy Special, and this was a food Homeboy Special.
Okay. I don't know if I agree with that, but I'm still on board with the drinks.
Maybe you'll agree after you hear what it is. He took some saltines, some very, very questionable jarred pizza sauce.
Hell
super old, like really shouldn't have done.
Oh yeah.
Also
old
very,
sauce.
very old, very, very old mozzarella cheese that had gotten like moist in the bag. And
I only use moist cheese. That's the way I do it. It's
a little slimy, got some like liquid to it, and he put that on top and made like little saltine pizzas, and he baked it for 10 minutes or something. That was his Homeboy Special. He said that it was very good, but I do not believe him.
That's a great way to present it. I was told it was very good.
I disagree based on all of the ingredients.
Saltines are good for like a very simple, like if you want to have cheese and meat and you want something that's salty to hold it up a little.
Yeah.
And they're good to like put some peanut butter on so you're not just like digging it out of a jar. Other than that, saltines are a cracker and that's it. They're good. You can cram them into a chowder. That's a thing you can do with it.
That's I think my top tier way to consume saltines is have a soup, slap a little like soft butter on those puppies, and that's good.
That does elicit a very clear image of you playing League of Legends, jamming buttery crackers in your soup that I think is very pleasing. Probably
happened circa 2015.
Wearing a like 36-hour-old outfit. It's a feel of nerdiness that I can get behind, and it might just be my own fan fiction, but I find it to be earnest, at least to me. So, let's see. Do you have any more business? It sounded like you were going to move into what's the Homeboy Special, your topic?
Yeah, I had Homeboy Special and then dyeing my hair, and that those are my topics. It's not been an incredibly busy week.
It's not a very interesting week. It's a week where everybody's incredibly nervous and sleeping poorly because our country is trying to kill us. And that sucks, but you know.
That'll do it.
In the meantime, my avoidance of essentially being told by anybody with money or stake in society that has nothing to do with my success whatsoever, telling me that I'm expendable because I don't make enough money not to be. I have been using very small amounts of money, well, mostly in the past, but I buy video games on sale, and I have like a library of more hours than I could play right now of things to play. So I have a bunch of, I did buy Final Fantasy VII Remake, and that was like the full price thing that I bought in the recent time, and then I play my roommate's copy of Animal Crossing, wherein we share an island, and I am a dumpster person who has I basically went to the opposite corner of the island, created a Jesse Exotic Animal Farm, have all of the most exotic creatures on display with my own boards and displays and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I even have vending machines and public seating and stuff out by Jesse Exotic. And I took most of the pine trees, the more forested area, moved those trees around me. So I'm in the deep woods, but managed to shove my house onto the beach because there was one spot in the very corner with enough space for it. So I'm off doing some devious shit. And if you didn't know I was there and were just hanging out with the animals and stuff, you'd never know I was there. But I finally got a third room. So I now have a main room, a relaxation room, and a bedroom, which pretty much explains my life currently. So yeah. I'm pretty proud of that. I have a full set of espresso machine, coffee grinder, coffee accoutrements, multiple cups, with steaming coffee coming out of them. Just all the stuff you need. And I have a Mbira, like a thumb piano, in Animal Crossing now, but I don't have one in real life, even though it's been much longer waiting for that. And it's pretty fun. Still getting a lot out of that. That's my Animal Crossing update. Final Fantasy VII I took a break from because I don't want to finish it and then not have it to play. But stuff that I do want to run through some recommends of, just for anybody who might be interested in video games that is also interested in hearing people talk at them. I went back and played some middle of the night No Man's Sky. I highly recommend where it's at now. I like how desolate and horrifying some of the environments they built are. Since they're procedural, you can end up with some stuff that's really terrifying, but not terrifying in the Subnautica way. That might be one of the scariest games out there, where you're under the ocean and constantly finding new sea life that probably wants to kill whatever you are just because that's what sea life does.
Yeah, that sounds terrifying.
And you have oxygen and all of that kind of stuff to worry about. I also found out that in Subnautica, your interior pressure and exterior pressure in relation to the volume and power of your undersea base have to balance out, or you will start springing leaks, lose power, and be in a flooded set of tubes under the ocean. Ooh. And I found that out the hard way, and that's tough to deal with. In addition, I think No Man's Sky has a bit of that feeling just because you're traveling through space and you're constantly having to find ways to keep fuel supplies and things like that working. And people will just assault you in space and try to steal your shit. If anybody played Free Space or one of those games in the past, it's basically a better version of that now. Where it used to be kind of bad Minecraft for a while. So as it is now, I would strongly suggest No Man's Sky. And let's see, I've been playing a lot of games that are survival / resource games, because that seems to be at the base level what I'm into. One game that isn't that is a game called Rad that Double Fine, the people who made Grim Fandango and Psychonauts and those games, they made a game that is a roguelike where you are somebody who is probably 20-ish, and you leave a post like human collapse like little town, but you mutate as you try to travel to your destination. So each level you continuously mutate more, and like my first character had like a brain on the outside of their head. My current character has like wings and slime coming off of them at all times, and just for weirdness and incredible like affordability, I would suggest that game because it seems pretty replayable in the way that something like a Binding of Isaac or a and what's more popular than that, like a Enter the Gungeon, kind of like that. Now the two games that I want to mention that are definitely on sale lately for pretty cheap, but have been on sale in the past for pretty cheap too, so it'll happen again. Ancestor, it's a PlayStation game that came out at a budget price, but you are like a proto-human, like gorilla, like chimp, ape kind of creature. Mm-hmm. And you work your way up to having a successful like community, and it seems like it all takes place in a rainforest filled with things trying to kill you, and you literally start as a baby that can't do anything, and it's like parents are killed by a large bird, and you have to find your way back to the group and then learn yourself how to do everything without killing yourself, and teach other things how to do it. And then you play as progressive generations, learning from the ones you taught how to do stuff. So it's literally like a maybe the purest idea of a survival game of like, I don't know, don't starve and don't get too wet and die of exposure, and learn how to like sleep comfortably so you can like do more. Learn how to fish, learn how to not be eaten by crocodile things, all of that stuff. And that one's pretty good. It's when it's on sale, it's already a budget game, so that one's like, I don't know, I think I got it for $15. I also got My Time in Portia, or Portia, which is probably the last thing I'll talk about on this episode. It is incredibly weird. It's kind of like Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley and Don't Starve, but less danger, and Minecraft a little bit, all mashed together into one like cartoony thing. And you like, it's voiced for most of it. It has like lots of cutscenes. It has a bunch of characters. And you're like constantly building things to like benefit the town, and it's very mission based and open at the same time. It feels a lot like Stardew Valley, but in a 3D space with more like affecting the world around you. Like, it's interesting. I really can't explain it that much, but it's another post-apocalyptic game that doesn't seem like it is at the beginning. It seems like you're just in a small farm town, but the landscape on the horizon is like old cities that are broken down with trees growing out of buildings and stuff. And there's like a church that hates technology, that when you find old technology, you can give it to them and they'll give you products that are better ways of cultivating like plants and like farmland. Or you can give it to a scientific community that gives you like old technology that helps you find more like certain things like minerals and like benefits and stuff like that. Like you build a pair of color blindness assisting glasses for the person who cuts hair in town, because the scientific community is like trying to reconstruct old technology. But then the like abilities to make like basically like what you were working on describing recently, trying to like irrigate larger portions of your like available farmland and stuff, come from the church, who's all like trying to restore nature. It's interesting. I don't know what it's trying to say exactly, but I like that it's showing a useful dichotomy between like nature and science in a way that if you use both, you get the best benefits from it. But if you just use one, you're gonna leave out a big chunk of your like available like progressive anything. Anyway, that's a fun game. It's really janky. It's really strange, but there's nothing about it that I've been like, oh, that's terrible. Like the worst bugs I've had in it is the mayor character gives like a voiced like address to your community every like week. And I went there to like meet up for this like chat that you have with the other like business leaders in town. And he came out of the door of the it's like the engineers like league building, and then walked away from the staircase, and it kept playing his like voiceover just looking at an empty doorway, which was really fun. So like if that stuff bothers you, maybe you won't like it, but like everything about it's been like learning a completely different gaming language to move forward, which I appreciate a lot. It's also something I play like when I first wake up sometimes, just for like an hour to like feel better about all the other stuff I need to handle during the day.
Yeah. That sounds familiar. What did you say that was called again?
My Time in Portia. Oh. It's interesting. If you like Stardew Valley or Harvest Moon or anything like that, you'll definitely like what that game's doing. It's got a lot of like progress and tech trees and stuff like that. Anyway, I think you have something you're doing in a bit. Let me see if there's a short fanfic thing I can throw in. But do you have anything else you want to talk about while I get that ready?
Did I have anything? I don't think I had anything else. Can look through my. I have such a bad memory when it comes to like what did I even think about or talk about or what happened this week that I have to scroll through my like my Twitter feed and my Twitter likes to just refresh my memory as to what I've even seen.
Okay. Woof. This one gets gross. But I don't know if it gets gross enough to be a problem. I haven't read all of this one, so fair warning, if it gets really gross, I just spit. Too gross, just spit. If it gets really gross, I will edit it as I go. This is a story. So what I ended up finding in my, let's say, research over the course of this week is that if you look for Garfield fan fiction, you find a lot of Garfield fan fiction in which there is a bromance and romance with Sonic the Hedgehog in a way that is
that is confusing.
Let's say severe. And the community seems pretty large for this. I figured it would be, but larger than I thought. Two stories that I will probably read in the future are directly relating to Garfield and Sonic the Hedgehog that a specific writer did that I appreciate what they're doing, but I also think that their writing is the perfect mix of bad on purpose and just bad that I'm looking for. That's not to say that they are doing a bad job. It's just to say that they're doing their job well. This is the only one that's rated T instead of M that I could find. And instead of it being Garfield and Sonic, pumping iron and then maybe doing some sex, this one is Garfield Fighter World Tournament, which is Garfield and the cast of Street Fighter In a similar vein,
course.
but this one is long enough to where I might skip stuff, but I feel like what the world needs right now is more fan fiction and less, let's say, less fan fiction from politicians and more fan fiction from us. We, the people, have fan fiction needs. So I'm going to look at my phone out here so people know that this is written not by me. It is written by Xover, Xover.
Okay.
This is from 2010. So you know it's got that tasty Garfield shit. Which means it's also pre-Garfield Eats, which I feel like was perhaps some people's Garfield renaissance.
Yeah.
Garfield's World Tournament. Is there anything you want to say before your world ends? This is not in the story. I'm just asking.
Nope. I'm ready for this.
I'm ready. We're laying down in the cyber tentacle chair like Neo when he talks to the cyber face and accepting what comes after this. I have not read this in detail. All right. Garfield and John Arbuckle was sitting at home watching the TV when M. Bison came on TV with announcement to Garfield. Garfield, I am having the Warriors tournament. All the great fighters are coming for combat. I challenge you, Garfield, to enter and fight me unless you are not man enough, challenged M. Bison with arrogant laughing. Do not go, Garfield. It is trap, said John Arbuckle with warning. I know, but I will go. No one questions my manliness and lives. I'm reading it as to punctuation. Said Garfield with fist pumped with martial arts.
Martial arts, part 2.
Garfield then departed for tournaments with Travels. As he left, John Arbuckle wished him luck. Good luck, Garfield. Remember your training. You must defeat M. Bison for love of justice, said John Arbuckle with waving hand. I do not need luck. I have iron fist of raging justice, said Garfield, beaming with fighting spirit. Every one of these statements is a paragraph. I need you to know that.
Oh, good.
Garfield then began his journey of endless combat to defeat M. Bison. Okay, it does say it. On his journeys, Garfield went to Brazil, where Brazilian people were. In a town, he saw Blanca, the green master of electric. I am Blanca. I will become the world warrior, said Blanca to Garfield. No, you are manly, but I am manlier. Prepare for kung fu beatdown, said Garfield with eyes of tiger. After the words were spoken, Garfield and Blanca fought with fury, exchanging blows and special attacks. Blanca used his Blanca rolls, but they deflected off of Garfield's muscles. Blanca then used his electricity to zap Garfield, but it had no effect. I am cat. Electricity has no effect on me, said Garfield with truth. Garfield then used a power punch on Blanca, knocking him out. Blanca then got up to congratulate Garfield on his win. That congratulate is mostly spelled right. Garfield, you are too much man for me. You are mighty warrior, said Blanca with smile. You are strong, but I am stronger. Farewell, Mr. Blanca, said Garfield with warrior pride. Garfield then continued his travels back to USA of America, where he met the Guile, the American patriot. Garfield, you are true American hero. I salute you, said Guile with respect. You are American warrior, but we must fight for justice, said Garfield with manly tear in one eye. Garfield and Guile then began manly fighting. Guile sent many sonic boons and hit Garfield with many flash kicks, but Garfield preserved with fighting spirit. Your attacks are strong, but now I will show you the true American pride, said Garfield as he readied attacks. Garfield wrapped his fists with American flags and punched Guile with furious patriotism, causing 4th of July explosions, sending Guile flying to defeats. It's very patriotic. Side note. Garfield, you are true American. You fight with eagle strength, said Guile as he grasped Garfield's hands with manly handshake. Garfield's is not plural, so... Or it is plural, it is not possessive. So take that as you will. It might be some kind of Naruto magic. Farewell, American friend. I will defeat M. Bison in your name, said Garfield with friendship. Garfield then continued his travels of combat when he encountered Chun-Li, Sakura, Cammy, and Rose fighting each other. That's bad news. You never want to see 4 female Street Fighters in one place in a story. What are you ladies doing? Asked Garfield with questions. I'm inserting a hat tip there. What are you ladies doing?
What are you doing?
We are fighting to see who is the strongest, said Chun-Li with fighting.
Yes.
This is not how ladies should act. Let me show you how to be ladies. Said Garfield as he took the ladies back to a 5-star hotel room with champagne and hot tub. Yeah, that's about right.
Okay.
After winning and dining, the ladies began taking their clothes off and rubbing oil on Garfield and each other while giggling. Yeah, this seems like 2010. I think you ladies should have sex with each other, said Garfield with a wink. Do you get it? All right, let's read ahead here.
Well, the power of suggestion is just really strong.
Okay, this is written, let's say, tastefully for what you'd expect. With Garfield's suggestion, they had sex with each other for many hours as Garfield watched with nodding approval while drinking champagne. Sakura very much enjoyed the more experienced ladies pleasuring her body, as did Garfield. Sure.
Cool.
Please, ladies, pleasure me more. I am young and supple, said Sakura. Sakura, I believe, is a senior in high school, so take that as you will. The other ladies began... okay, ladies, my turn, said Garfield as he jumped into the pleasure party.
Episode named!
Said Garfield as he jumped into the pleasure party. Chun-Li wrapped her strong thighs around Garfield, squeezing him with pleasure. Make me feel like a woman, screamed Chun-Li, blah, 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 blah. Rubbing Garfield's body. Pleasure for all. Well, that's good at least.
That's a nice tie-in of like patriotism there.
Yeah. Garfield, you are the first time I've encountered a real man. Eyes of lust. Do not worry, I am real man. He's a cat, by the way. So I will make you into real woman, said Garfield as he pleasured with wild cat force. That contradicts what was just said. Garfield, you are a love beast. The next morning, Garfield got up to continue his fighting quest. Garfield, can you not stay for more lovings? No, babe. I must go on and fight and defeat M. Bison for the good of all, said Garfield with fist-pumping pride. Thank you, Garfield, for showing us what it's like to be real women. Good.
Thanks.
Let's see. All right, next interesting part. Hadouken! Cried Ryu and Ken as they shot their double fireball and Garfield. The fireball exploded on Garfield, leaving nothing but making Ryu and Ken think they won victories. We did it! We beat Garfield! Cried out Ryu. That seems in character. Garfield beats them with a meteor punch, I guess. Bison has evil schemes. You must face Psycho Power Sagat. I am Psycho Powered Sagat. With the Psycho Power, I will avenge my scar. All right. Okay. John Arbuckle jumps in to defeat Psycho Power Sagat, and then John Arbuckle has a glowing symbol of John Arbuckle on his back. If you know Street Fighter, that's Not really a deep cut, but that's a something cut. M. Bison, it is time to meet the way of the fist, said Garfield, lunging at M. Bison.
Okay.
Let's see. No! cried M. Bison as he was beaten. As Garfield returned to ground from his awesome attack, he saw a figure approaching. It was Akuma. Garfield, I see you killed M. Bison with super ease. You are mighty warrior, said Akuma, high-fiving Garfield. If anybody knows the Street Fighter characters, that's not what Akuma would do. He'd be like, it's fighting time. But, you know, not important. Where you play MOBAs, I play fighting games quite a bit. So
gotcha.
That's why I have these interjections. Yes, it looks like we will be having M. Bison meat, although I prefer lasagna, said Garfield with hilarious joke. Laughed Akuma and John Arbuckle and Garfield at witty jokes. As they laughed, they left to train to become stronger and unlock great fighting power. The end? Author's note. If Capcom is reading, would you please add Garfield to the next Street Fighter? This is from 2010, so unfortunately, they did not add Garfield to the next Street Fighter. But
oh no.
Anyway, as stories go, I think that's pretty good. There was some risky business in the middle with some, let's say, perhaps less feminist takes on the female fighters of Street Fighter, but that's kind of to be expected when you find 4 Street Fighter women in one place.
And when you're dealing with a man the likes of Garfield.
Yeah, his rippling muscles. I will say, as a preview for the other Garfield stories I found, Garfield does have a rippling, muscled human man body. And it is specifically noted in parts of this that he has, like, everything but his head is human man with rippling muscles. So I assume that was just meant to be implicit in that story, and we didn't have the other stories to back it up. But I hope people take that story and let it propel them through the next week of fun times, especially if you're in the United States. Seems like people are just fucking up everywhere. I heard from relatives in Wisconsin that it seemed like the government was telling them that, like, things are looking in a good position, so they're loosening the restrictions, while simultaneously the news out of Wisconsin from everybody who was in the know of how the government was going was saying that they were pushing it open prematurely because the Republican Party there was being assholes and basically saying, fuck everybody. Things aren't going great here. If you know people in the U.S. who are saying, like, yeah, it's fine here, they're wrong, but they're also probably being told that it's fine here, so it's hard to really blame people for that. I don't know. It sucks. But I was going to say, but it might be over in the next, like, I don't know, half a year, but not if we go the way we're going. If we go the way we're going, I'm going to be really glad I have a passport if any other countries decide that they'll allow me to go there for a while.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to have money for that. They're ensuring that I won't have money for that, so stay safe out there.
But what you do have to look forward to is the delicious Loco Moco.
Oh, yeah. Living for the moment is something that is becoming much more a part of my life, and I kind of appreciate it. I wasn't great at doing moment-to-moment stuff in the past, so.
I'm getting a little too good at moment-to-moment stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely something you can overdo.
It's a balance.
We have a lot of projects we're, like, working towards that aren't super short term, so that should help. I feel really bad for people who are stuck at home but have, like, no long-term projects. Like if you work at a job that is all you do and the rest of your time is like just going out and hanging out with people and now you have literally nothing to do, that sucks. That is like the worst.
That's not good.
Yeah. Seeing a continued resistance towards just the ideas that it's possible to be moral and socialist or communist is really rough too. But hopefully the people who believe that are slowly coming around to the idea that working for people instead of the heads of companies is actually more like what capitalism is said to be than it is some foreign idea. So keep pushing back on people who are saying shit that's stupid. I had some relatives say that homeless people are probably wasting all of the stimulus money they're getting on alcohol recently, and my father and other family members were pushing back on that, which I really appreciate, because homeless people are not getting anything. They're not. All they're getting is an increased chance of death and very little increased chance of health care, which is to say people are, I guess, paying attention sometimes to the fact that they're kind of getting a death sentence if they're immunocompromised, because hospitals aren't going to just give you hospital work for free. They should be. That should be part of our government stepping in, but it super isn't.
Would be nice. Yeah.
So again, reiterating, stay safe out there. Don't stop pushing back on people's stupid fucking ideas of how we're all entitled if we're afraid. That's real shitty that people are trying to support that idea. And don't do things that seem stupid unless you absolutely have to stay alive, because that seems to be actually the place we're in right now, is needing to push back to stay like not dead in some cases. And remember that not dead isn't the only thing you're pushing back against. Not getting something that could kill other people that you just have to come in contact with at work and stuff like that is another part of it. Remember that even though we're talking at each other and not wearing masks, that is all inside our own homes. And if you have a governor that's telling you that wearing masks in the fucking shower is too much to bear, it's because they're lying to you to make it seem like masks are an imposition to you and not a safety for other people. Why would you wear masks outside or inside your own home? That's crazy. Why would you wear masks when you're like in a yard that you own? Also crazy. Like, none of that stuff is real. It's just people trying to make straw man arguments to like support their incredibly dangerous rhetoric of not wearing masks at all, which is literally going to kill people in your community. So don't do that. That sucks.
And don't use God as an excuse to be stupid.
Also, don't do that. That sucks too. God and capitalism seem to be rolling together real hard right now, and you need to try and resist as much as you can, because it's going to get a lot of people hurt and has already. But I guess the upside is the argument that was already completely lame duck of, well, how many people has communism killed, which was initially not many. Authoritarianism killed a lot of people. Now you literally cannot say that with a straight face and be taken as like a thinking person. This is very quickly shoring up those numbers in a way that is undeniable, even though it was already not much of an issue. So I guess the Ben Shapiros of the world can really eat our ass now, as opposed to just...
Please, yeah.
Yeah. Ben Shapiro would never eat ass. That's not a thing Ben Shapiro would do.
I don't even know that I care to imagine the things that Ben Shapiro would do in that vein.
He's very, very short. He could do all kinds of stuff.
Oh God. Well, I hope he doesn't.
Yeah. Huh?
Anyhow, stay safe, everybody.
That's a big bejabbers.
Be gone, thoughts.